It is stubborn.
That was the first 9 minutes. That was the one that I was doing.
We'll take at least a minute to populate. There's that. And we're live.
What did, literally, you show up, husband, and it works. This is how it goes.
Imagine if you'd done that half an hour ago.
He was in a panel half an hour ago.
That's fair.
So he's technically still in a panel. It's fine. Okay, perfect. I'm going to hand it off to Nathaniel. And
So is it actually up and running? So I'm not seeing it on the YouTube.
If you refresh the main page.
We're up. We're up. And let us
Oh, there
not
it
mess
is.
with it.
Okay.
Let us not mess with it ever again.
Okay.
All right. I guess that's me taking over. So welcome everybody to Bardic Live at Hearthcon 2024. We're all very excited to be here, especially now that it seems to be working. My name is Nathaniel Webb. We have got Drake Orenwood, Avelyn Davi, and Regan Hicks. We are going to chit-chat for a little bit as we get settled in. We're going to talk about music, talk about cozy fantasy, of course. And then we will get to some performances. Everyone's going to get a chance to give you some songs. We should be here until 7:30. We'll just see how it goes, see how we're all feeling, see how the audience is feeling. So without any further ado, let's go around and do some introductions. Tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your music, anything else you do, if you write, because of course this is a cozy fantasy convention, but really anything you do that might be of interest. So Drake, why don't we start with you, my friend?
Sure. Hi. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
You're good.
Hi. So I am Drake Orenwood, and I've been part of the Society for Creative Anachronism, which is a common thread among several of us, for technically 30 plus years, but I've really been active as a performer for the last 12 plus. And I love the history. I'm going to say that because in case anybody from the SCA sees me, they go, ah, he doesn't love the history? I do enjoy history. And the idea of being a bard, the idea of being a songwriter, and finding a space where there was an audience, and a space where the audience didn't have to be massive for me to feel successful, was really appealing. So I started writing music in this vein, in this sort of Stan Rogers-y, fantasy-ish, Celtic folk-ish vein. My first one was like 20 years ago. And then we had a child, and I got busy with that, and then I came back. So I have had the privilege of working with some incredibly talented people. I released an album of music back in 2015 called Hidden Gold, and I'm going to share at least one piece from that. And I'm working on and in the process of finishing 10 years in the making, a second album, which I'm planning to call Hold the Door Open. And so that's me, and I'm excited to be here, and I appreciated the invitation. It's great to see all of you.
Well, we're very excited to have you, Drake. Welcome. Let us go now to Avelyn Davi. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, Avelyn.
Hey everyone, I'm Avelyn. I, like several others here, also do SCA, renfaire. I've also recently gotten into film circles, so music of fandom at conventions. So I have a long-running history of doing music, mostly as an instrumentalist. And when I joined the SCA 15 years ago is when I really started to become a singer-songwriter. And it gave me a good outlet because I wasn't a professional musician after spending, my entire childhood doing music. Being able to do this medieval fandom music really gave a really great outlet to continue doing the things I love. And I've evolved over the years, and I've gotten much more into more of the fantasy filth realm very recently. I am a complete slacker and have not put out any CDs because I am lazy. I did recently restart a YouTube channel under this name, Avelyn that is slowly releasing my music. Maybe someday it will make it onto a CD, but probably not. I'm actually distracted now writing a novel, which is cozy-ish. It's lit RPG, portal fantasy. It's progression fantasy, but it definitely has cozy vibes. It's called Chaos and Capybaras. You can't have capybaras without a little bit of cozy. So I'm hoping that I'll start putting that on Royal Road like later this year, but probably not until January. I do professional Christmas caroling as well, so I get a little busy in December. And that's me.
Very cool. Welcome, Avelyn. We're very excited to have you. And finally, Regan Hicks.
Hello. I feel like the odd man out here because I don't have the same kind of backgrounds as all of you, but y'all are amazing.
You just have listeners.
I come from a musical theater background, so I graduated a few years back with my BFA in musical theater, and I, graduated unfortunately in the middle of the pandemic, so that kind of threw a wrench in my plans. And at the time that I was out and about trying to get work doing musical theater, there wasn't a lot of work happening, and I live in New York, so I was trapped in home trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And I always had been a closeted songwriter and writer, never really expressing it too much out in the open, and that's when I discovered TikTok, and I found a beautiful community of people who are folk singer-songwriters, and within the folk community, and Celtic folk in particular really speaks to me because I have family members who are Appalachian folk singers, and I connect with my ancestry that comes from the British Isles, so that music really spoke to me, and I wanted to be a part of that little community. And so I started doing a little thing called TikTok, and I found a lot of amazing people on there who encouraged me to continue writing. And then from there, I became more than just a songwriter. I am now a musical writer, and so I've written one musical that premiered recently at a theater out in Long Island. Thank you! Which, of course, is inspired by Celtic folklore of the Selkies. And yeah, that just premiered 2 months ago at a theater out on Long Island called The Silky Bride. Check it out. And yeah, so I'm also an actress. I do musical theater, TV, film, and now I'm a songwriter, and mostly in the world of folk, fantasy, Celtic music, and Appalachian folk.
Lovely. Welcome, Regan.
Thank you.
And I think we're getting echo again. If you mute, yeah, that should do it. All right. And quickly, just to introduce myself, my name is Nathaniel Webb. I am mostly an author at this point. I've written, I can never remember, 5 novels and a music biography of a semi-forgotten progressive rock band from the 80s. But my original training actually was in music. I have a BA in music theory and composition. In my 20s, I was a touring and recording guitarist. So I made some records, did some touring, all that kind of stuff. Then I had a kid and got a real job. So that's when I started writing. But my most recent novel, Bard City Blues, is sort of taking the writing thing, because I've always been a fantasy writer, and finally bringing my musical life into it. And it's really very much inspired by my experience in my 20s, driving around doing shows in a broken down van and getting ripped off by promoters and all the stuff that comes with a career in music. So I've got that one, Bard City Blues, came out last year. The sequel is desperately overdue, but I'm hoping to get it out maybe by the end of this year. But that's enough about me and enough of us talking about ourselves, as much as performers love to do that. Let's talk about cozy fantasy, because that's really kind of what we're here for at Hearthcon. So I'm curious, since this is a panel that's not all just writers, to you as musicians, what does it mean to be doing something that's cozy? What does it mean to be doing something that's fantasy? If you're writing a song, if you're writing a musical, if you're performing. And since we're having sort of sound echo issues, I think we should do kind of round robin. So why don't we start with Avelyn?
to me, cozy is just things that make you feel good and happy. And so that could be, the theme of the song, it could be the sound of the song, it could be the message of the song. Any of these things can really make the song cozy. And fantasy is anything that's just outside of our world. I mean, even things that we write about that are partially related to our own world could still be fantasy. I will admit I don't really write a lot of cozy songs, but I like to think that the message is positive at the end. I write a lot of empowerment anthems, which for some people may be considered cozy and for other people may not be. So I think some of the work I do is more cozy, but it depends on what people are looking for. It's really individual as to what people interpret as the thing that makes them feel good and happy.
Yeah, I love it. Drake, what do you think?
Similar to Avelyn, the cozy concept. I've been picking it up more or less since Neptune invited me in here. I think I'd heard bits about it. Fantasy. Yeah, fantasy. There were these great memes that went around. No. Fantasy is right. Fantasy is when such and such is your currency. Science fiction is when this is your currency. It's you're in a non-technical world. You're in a world that generally speaking, though there's the variation, often resembles a historical context, something pre-modern. Often, but not always, there is magic. Some of my favorite fantasy, and one that's going to inspire one of the first piece I'm going to do today. As several people pointed out, the subgenre is new. The notion of putting out fantasy that does not conform to the tropes of violence, grimdark, constant backstabbing betrayal, and the classic George R. R. Martin and Joss Whedon walk into a bar and everybody you love dies. So that a lot of my music has that sense of I'm not interested in glorifying violence. I'm not interested in the SCA. I'm counter programming because as several people pointed out to me, there are enough songs out there glorifying people who picked up a stick and hit somebody and became king. There's no question that a number of my songs also go kind of dark, go kind of sad, go kind of tragic. Most of them for a reason, and there are interesting, highlights. But a number of them, and I went through my catalog and kind of said, well, which ones would be good choices here? And they should end, if they didn't basically stay all through, on an upbeat motive. You need conflict. Conflict makes a story interesting. But the conflict doesn't have to be life and death stakes. That seems to be one of the elements that I'm really understanding is lower stakes. Maybe we don't need to have anxiety. Maybe we can just have some character growth. Wouldn't that be nice? Kind of like what most of us would love to have in our lives. So as I said, the first one I do in particular is drawn from a phenomenal novel that's based on an ancient piece, but I'll talk about that later.
All right, yeah, we are going to get back to that question, but first I want to hear from Regan.
Oh, my bad.
Oh no. Yeah, so just piggybacking off of what these two have said, for me, cozy music or anything cozy in general, but specifically music since that's what I do, it is in my brain something around a fire, and I always think of a campfire, where it's either a song that I want to snuggle up by the campfire and listen to, such as a lullaby, or a story song that tells me a story that, is not killing people and about war and bloodshed, but something more soothing and calming, or a campfire song that everybody is drinking I don't drink beer, but drinking or something, and all singing together, much in line with my Celtic roots and everything too, very community based and very cozy calming and just feeling of warmth. And then for fantasy, anything that's outside of our known world, whether it's dragons or I agree, you can also say like sci-fi, like there's a whole difference there too. But for me personally, I think of fantasy as more the Grimm's fairy tales or something along those lines, and so I think therefore cozy fantasy is not the Grimm's fairy tales, or at least like the Disney version of the Grimm's fairy tales, where it ends happily and there's no one dying. It's all very calm and has a good moral to the story.
All right, so let's jump back to this question of writing based on books and stories. I don't want to leave this one alone before we get to the music, because again, obviously, here at Hearthcon, a lot of what we're talking about is books and stories. So, Avelyn, you're working on a novel. Drake, you've got at least one song based on a novel. So what is the relationship between your music and storytelling? Drake, we'll start with you because you kind of spurred this one.
Sure. I found, and particularly that sense of bardic music, as we like to do in the SCA, but also in the folk, or geek folk, as Spotify likes to categorize it, category. A lot of this is storytelling music. I actually teach a class in the SCA called Songwriting to Tell a Story, where I try to focus on how do you focus on a narrative? Why do it in music form? I love it for a number of reasons. I have ADHD, and this is a short form. I know when when the first draft is done, and because of the conventions of music, I know basically when it's finished, because I can't tighten anything anymore. Everything works to my standards of, the rhymes are all clean and the meter's good and the scansion is so it forces me to make hard choices. And one of the things I realized was, for example, that a lot of when I'm in a song telling a story, there's a lot of detail I can just leave out, because we're asking the audience to do something rather challenging in real time, which is process a story. And so the demands on your writing are never confuse the audience. So your language has to be clear and clean. Your story beats have to be really solid. So the transitions all have to make sense. And and those are some interesting things. And taking, as I'll share later, the piece that I drew inspiration from, it was a very interesting prospect of taking this gorgeous 200-page novel. What's the essence of it for me in this moment? What's the story I want to tell? How do I get that slice where I capture the flavor of what I loved about this book? And what can I add to it such that it's not just an empty imitation of somebody else's work?
Regan, let's jump over to you. It sounds like you're writing based on mythology and fairy tale. Obviously, you have written an entire stage show. So tell us about that.
Yes, of course. Actually, listening to Drake talk, I was nodding my head along, because I agree with exactly the same, where my musical, for example, that I wrote called The Sulky Bride, I read a lot about the traditional Celtic folklore of the Selkies, and I took the tale in particular of the Sulky Bride. But of course, I didn't want to just do a classic iteration of it. I wanted to add my own spin to it, and so therefore I chose to make it more modern, but within the context of the fantastical world existing in parallel to our modern times, and how that how the people within the story then correspond with that. And so traditionally, I love to write music that's based off of fairy tales and folklore, particularly fairy tales I mentioned earlier, Grimm's fairy tales. I think I've always been fascinated by those. You know, as a little girl, I'm like, oh, I want to be a princess. But then when you grow up, you really realize like the morals to those stories are so powerful and impactful for obviously children, but also even growing up, especially reading the more mature Grimm's fairy tales. Like I've been reading them now as an adult, and they are very dark, and just you could have a whole TED talk that dives into the impact and the different variations of the stories as well from cultures and varying from different cultures. And I find that so fascinating. So I like to take those and spin my own tales. And a song, for example, I'm going to be singing in my set is The Legend of the King's Daughter that I wrote recently. And that one is my own iteration of a fairy tale that I came up with based on those Grimm's fairy tales, but within my own little world. So yeah, I think that's probably what I'd have to say to that.
Yeah, I love it. Avelyn, let's go to you. I'm curious to hear about your novel.
Yeah, so writing and songs. So when I started writing stuff in the SCA, I always had difficulty because I wanted to be able to tell the story just right. And it's really hard to write something in such a short set. You have to be able to really drill down to those details to still communicate the story. And it can be really difficult. It's very different writing a novel where I'm like, wow, I can write about like the color shirt that someone's wearing for like 4 sentences if I wanted to. I can describe their hair. What? So it's so different now that I've started writing something that's more long form prose as compared to songs. But books have always been a really big influence for me, and I'm going to be doing several songs during my set that are based on books that people not necessarily always have heard of. I'll do stuff based on Tamora Pierce, and then which I think is one of the original like young adult cozy authors. Like definitely, she's amazing. And then more recently, because I'm writing a lit RPG, clearly I read a lot of lit RPG. So I have songs based on Dungeon Crawler Carl. I have songs based on He Who Fights with Monsters. And pretty much every time I read a book, I leave it going, I could write a song about that. Like some element, some line the character said, all of those little things can inspire me to just write a song.
Fantastic. All right. I think the people in the audience want to hear some music, and I bet we all want to play some music. So we are going to start with a set from Regan Hicks. And I don't think there's really much more that I need to say than that. So let's have it, Regan.
Amazing. Well, let me just grab my drum so I can get started here. So I have a little bit of combination going on in my set. I have some cover songs, but by other fantasy music writers, as well as some classics that hopefully people will know and love and sing along to in their own homes. And then I have sprinkled in my own original songs that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So I thought it would be fun to start off with a classic by one of my inspirations and icons, Heather Dale, who I love her music and everything she's done for the community of folk music. So I thought, welcoming in the bards, I thought singing Come and Be Welcome would be a classic way to start this off for us. Alrighty, so let's get going. Grab your favorite mug and whatever drink and get cozy. Come and be welcome, a wandering minstrel, spreading your music from city to town. Be you harper or piper, your duty is noble. You carry the tunes that will never die down. Come from the forest and sit round the fire. Come from the fields and enter our hall. Come drink from the guest cup, come join in our circle. Come and be welcome, ye bards one and all. Come and be welcome, O noble court poet. The treasure of knowledge is kept in your words. So unlock the riches of rhyme and of rhythm, and let all the wealth of your wisdom be heard. Come from the forest and sit around the fire. Come from the fields and enter our halls. Come drink from the guest cup, come join in our circle. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. Come and be welcome, O fair-voiced singer, weaving the magic of music along. You can thunder the heavens to raise up an army, or simply bring laughter and peace with a song. Come from the forest and sit around the fire. Come from the fields and enter our hall. Come drink from the guest cup, come join in our circle. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. Come and be welcome, O rare tale teller. With stories of wonder you wisely recall. Now tell of the heroes who dwell in our history, for tales that are true are the best of them all. Come from the forest and sit around the fire. Come from the fields and enter our hall. Come drink from the guest cup, come join in our circle. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. Come and be welcome wherever you hail from. Share all the secrets and joys of your art. For every new voice that joins in the chorus will uplift the spirit and cheer the heart. Come from the forest and sit around the fire. Come from the fields and enter our hall. Come drink from the guest cup, come join in our circle. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. Come and be welcome, ye bards, one and all. You! Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So like I said, Heather Dale, if you don't know her, you have to know her. Go look up all of her stuff. And yeah, she really inspired a lot of my music that I have written. Including this next song that I'm going to sing for you. But first of all, woo! Gotta stay hydrated. This next song is probably my most popular song, I would say, that people who follow me on TikTok would know. It's called Hobbit Life, and it is inspired by a hobbit life that I would love to live. I wrote it whenever I was feeling down in the winter months, and I just wanted it to be spring and summertime, and I wanted to frolic in the fields like Rosie Cotton. And so I wrote this song in hopes and a dream of the summer days. And I just wanted to sprinkle a little joy into my life, and hopefully it sprinkles some joy into yours as well and makes you feel cozy. Alrighty. I want a hobbit life, to be Samwise Gamgee's wife, to live without pain and strife. I want a hobbit life, oh, I want a hobbit life. I want to be an elf, elegant unlike myself, ancient books upon my shelf. I want to be an elf, oh, I want to be an elf. I want to be a bard with music that is avant-garde, held in the highest regard. I want to be a bard, oh, I want to be a bard. I want to be a knight, known for winning any fight, standing up for what is right. I want to be a knight, oh, I want to be a knight. I want a noble quest to prove myself the best of the best. I can take on any test. I want a noble quest, oh, I want a noble quest. I want a fairy tale, a hero's journey of love and betrayal. In the end I will prevail. I want a fairy tale, oh, I want a fairy tale. want so many things. Adventure, magic, fairy wings, a noble life like kings and queens. I want so many things, oh, but I'll take what the future brings. I'll take what the future brings, oh, I'll take what the future brings. You. Thank you. Thank you so much. Alrighty, next up, I have the song that I was speaking about earlier, The Legend of the King's Daughter. This song, like I said, I wrote it, originally it was a poem, almost a short story that I had written, but I knew I wanted to add some melody to it. So then eventually I did, and then recently I posted it to TikTok, and I thought nobody would see it or really probably care for it, but turns out some people do. And so I'm now going to be recording a version to produce and post to streaming platforms soon. But I will give y'all a little sneak peek here. It has a lot of lyrics in it, so if I mess up, forgive me for any little mistakes, but here we go. There lived a king of noble lands who knew that he was dying. He called his children to his side and looked upon them crying. The eldest was a vicious lad, he yearned for the crown. Most the middle boy was just as bad, both were eager to boast. And though they barely saw her, there stood the king's daughter. My children, he said, bring to me a chalice from the county down. The first to lay it in my hand shall be the next to wear the crown. The boys set sail on different ships, racing towards the finish line, desperate to complete their trips in the brief amount of time. But also on that water sailed the king's daughter. The eldest son forced his crew to blow his brother into sky. They fired back and forth for days while their sister paddled by. The eldest son sunk to the sea as punishment for his malice. The middle boy reached the isle and scoured for the chalice. But once he reached the altar, there stood the king's daughter. She reached her hand out with a smile and said, let us roll side by side. But he pushed her to the ground, for he was filled with too much pride. But before he stole the prize, a dragon roared and reared its head. He hissed, you thief must come with me. The sister cried, take me instead. The dragon's claws caught her and took the king's daughter. The dragon charged his fiery breath and hissed to her, you must die. The daughter bravely faced the beast and sang to him a lullaby. The dragon's fire chilled away as tears streamed down his scaly hide. He promised he would help her win and flew her to her father's side. The dragon that had caught her forgave the king's daughter. Your eldest son died at sea, your middle boy was not so smart. But your daughter sang to me, she melted through my icy heart. The king with glee announced his heir and placed the crown upon her head. The final words hung in the air, this was the last thing he said. Come hell or high water, long live the king's daughter. You. Thank you so much. So yeah, like I said, that one is my first really big story song that I ever wrote. And I am looking forward to expanding upon it and maybe sprinkling in new songs that add to the story, such as the lullaby she sings and things like that. But it's just the beginning of that whole world. Next up, I'm gonna switch things over to my guitar. Whoops. And I'm gonna do a cover of a song that hopefully some of you will know and love. And this song is one of the songs, honestly. Heather Dale inspired me a lot on that last song, but also this song inspired me a lot on that last song. and it's also about a dragon, and a very famous dragon that I think once I start singing, you guys will recognize what it is. And it's by Peter, Paul, and Mary. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sail. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate chiefs would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, but not so little boys. Painted wings and giant strings make way for other toys. And one gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more. And Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. He no longer went to play along that cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. So Puff, that mighty dragon, he slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. There we go. Thank you so much. That's another group, Peter and Paul and Mary, Puff the Magic Dragon, their iconic song. Another one that really inspires me, and as soon as I thought of cozy and fantasy, that song was the first one that came to mind. And like I said, really heavily inspired my song, The Legend of the King's Daughter. Next up, I'm going to be playing another original song of mine, which is called Four Leaf Clover. This is another song that I wrote that was inspired by times when I was feeling down and in the middle of winter in New York City. You know, it's tough. And I just wanted to be out in the field frolicking, and in particular looking for four-leaf clovers, because I've yet to find one, and I really want to find one, and I'm on a quest for the rest of my life until I find one. So this song is called Four Leaf Clover, and it's an original. In a field of clovers, one must have four leaves. growing between cobblestones under a web of trees, waiting to be plucked by some plucky little lass. Once she holds it in her hand, she hopes the magic lasts. Oh, I'm on a quest to find a lucky little four-leaf clover. Oh, I'm gonna search far and wide till my quest is over. At the end of a rainbow, there must be some gold. Maybe not a plot like every story you've been told. Maybe just a nugget of sunshine rays, giving you good fortune for the rest of your days. Oh, I'm on a quest to find a pot of gold, my pleasure. Oh, I'm gonna search far and wide till I find my treasure. Thank you. That one I'm hoping to get recorded soon to be a part of my first album. I have singles that are out there that you can listen to if you wish, but I am hoping to record that one soon to come out hopefully very soon. Do I have time? I haven't been paying attention to the time for a few more, or?
Yeah, I'd say one more.
One more, yeah.
Yeah.
So in that case, I will do my song called Poetry of the Woods, which is a very new song. This is like the song that I wrote the most recent. And yeah, it's called Poetry of the Woods, and it's inspired by my true life. And what I like to do a lot too when I'm writing is take events that are happening into my own life and spinning them into a fantasy kind of world and putting them into that kind of setting, especially in my original song. So like I said, this one's called Poetry of the Woods, and it's a shorter song, but you know, a lot of my folk songs tend to be kind of short, sweet, to the point. But hopefully you can bob your head along and hopefully it'll sprinkle some joy into your life there. Poetry of the woods, dreaming of woods and good, seeing our future in clouds. What was whispered in the trees, only heard by fairies, was an exchange of vows, an exchange of love, said only with eyes sparkling like fireflies. I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. Like vines we intertwine, your hand holding mine, I can never let go. Wherever you are, I'll be planting roots firmly, I can see our future grow. I close my eyes, I'm back with you, wandering woods that could come true. I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. Oh, I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. Oh, I can't help but love, I can't help but love, I can't help but love you. Thank you. Alrighty, I don't want to bleed too much into everyone else's time. So I can gladly bid my adieu for now. But thank you guys so much for, first of all, for inviting me to be a part of this and to be able to chit chat with some other amazing bards and artists. It's such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for letting me sprinkle some music into your life today.
Thank you so much for the songs, Regan. Everybody, Regan Hicks, if we can get another round of either wiggle hands or get some emojis in the chat for that amazing set. And without further ado, since, as has been noted in the chat, we did start a little bit late, thanks to the lovely technical issues of YouTube, why don't we roll right into our next set from Drake Orenwood.
Oh, fun. I get to follow that. And I'll do my best. My set list is kind of bobbling around in my head. I know what I'm opening with. I know the ones that make sense. I have several that, as I said, fit here. But rather than belabor it, let me start with the one that I've been promising. Mumble. I came upon a book on the shelf called Thomas the Rhymer by Ellen Kushner, who is probably better known for her Riverside series, which is definitely not cozy. There's backstabbing and stuff, but it's fun and it's queer and it's very cool. This is very different from that, and I do feel that both the story that she's retelling, which is an ancient Scottish romance from the Middle Ages, as well as the child ballad that drew from it and has a lot of the same connective tissue, Thomas the Rhymer, is very cozy in the sense that this is one of the types of stories I love, which is not just fairy tales, but fae stories. This is probably as cozy as an actual medieval fae story gets, because the elf queen as represented here is fairly benevolent. And she does have her favorites, and Thomas is one of them. Part of the joy is watching what happens when the Queen of Elfland likes you and wants to do you a favor. So, without further ado, my rendering is called I Must Be Silent. Once again, here it is, I stand in this hall with my harp in hand, and the queen calls out, "Come, rhymer, play a tune." That's my leave, so a song I start, my strings weaving the minstrel's art in the odd blue light, but without stars or moon. When I finish, they all drink deep. Feels like days since I last knew sleep. Then she waves me off, my feasting seat I find. Only touch what is on my plate. Speak with no one, for that's my fate. These are not my kin. I know they're not my kind. I must be silent as I live among the fae. I must be patient as I serve these years away. Though I harp for the whole, still I never can be heard. Though I sing to the host, still I cannot speak a word. I think back to the Eildon tree, where this strange lady came to me. There were silver bells hung from her horse's mane. Queen of Heaven, I called her then. Thomas, no, you must guess again. Next to her, all women of this earth seemed plain. I, good rhymer, am Elfland's queen. I must warn you that if you're keen for a kiss, your body follows. Do you dare? I leaned in, didn't count the cost, my head swimming, my senses lost, and she smiled, because she had me in her snare. You must be silent, and my lips you shall obey. You must be patient, 7 years you've kissed away. You're a minstrel, I know, but on earth you won't be heard. You belong to me, rhymer, and I'll have not a word. On her horse did we then descend to a cavern that had no end. Through a pitch-black sea I held on tight for days. We alight in an orchard strange. I look round as the seasons change. There is golden fruit I spy through hunger's haze. Thomas, that's not for you to eat. But, my lady, it smells so sweet. That was Adam's folly. Would you lose your soul? I've a basket with bread and wine, mortal food that is safe to dine. Then we're off at last to Elfland and our goal. You must be silent, for your tongue's the price you pay. You must be patient, 7 years and then a day. You will sing for the whole, only then shall you be heard. Answer only to me, to all else speak not a word. So her weird I may not dispute. I, the rhymer, must play the mute. In the songs and tales I've not heard such a doom. Now upon me the fairy court, bright or hideous, tall and short, when they tease and pry, I'm silent as the tomb. They hunt mortals to play their games, drawn to us like a moth to flames. They ignore me now, as if I were a hound. With closed lips and with open ears, with no measure to count the years, learning secrets while I cannot make a sound. I must be silent, for it is my price to pay. I must be patient as I serve my life away. Oh, they wish me no harm, but it chafes to not be heard. Oh, the things I would tell them if I could say a word. We arrive, is the journey done? In the orchard where we'd begun, then she plucks an apple and lets out a sigh. 7 years, Thomas, you've been true. Now you've earned what I kept from you. Have a taste, and know the tongue that cannot lie. This is how you would say farewell. Bind my tongue in a lifelong spell, like a deadly blade. I think this fate is worse. You'll accept the reward I planned. Eat it now, heed your queen's command. As I take a bite, she leaves me with my curse. I must be silent, for I fear what I may say. I must be patient, for I've been so long away. I have marvels to tell, but my tale cannot be heard. I can speak only truth, and they won't believe a word. I shall be silent, taking care in what I say. I shall be patient as I find my part to play. Though I see every truth, I shall choose how it is heard. In my silence I learned there is power in every word. Thank you. It is one of my favorites. It is going to be the opening track for the new album, which sometime early next year I'm hoping to release. And it's coming along. I'm just real happy about that. So that said, really quickly, let me make a decision. I'm an SCA bard, and in the SCA, well, a lot of you don't know it. Some of you are familiar. I have a piece that I wrote a few years back, an anthem for my kingdom. I dwell in the Kingdom of the East, which is to say all along the northeast of the United States and Nova Scotia. And so I was able to compose a piece honoring my kingdom and some of the ways in which perhaps we are special. And I think it meets the remit for cozy. So I'm going to share that with you now. In the sunrise we march through the fog on the field, till your eye sees the bold eastern banner revealed. There's a clamor arising from each sword and shield, and we roar as we enter the fray. Though on this day our forces are dwarfed by the foe, we are tigers united with valor to show. Every warrior defending our realm, blow for blow. Win or lose, they'll remember this day. We are the fighters, we are the makers, we are in service, preparing the feast. We are the elders, we are the children, we are all family, for we are the East. In the work of our hands and the work of our hearts, shaping glass, shaping metal, and thread to our arts, we are learning, then teaching, all playing our parts to bring all of our crafts to new heights. as we sit by the fire, singing old songs and new, and our voices combine, whether many or few. There's a bond we create that feels hallowed and true to sustain us on long winter nights. We are the fighters, we are the makers, we are in service, preparing the feast. We are the elders, we are the children, we are all family, for we are the East. For the long months we plan, putting work before fun, for each pot that we scrub, for each list that we run. Be we cook, be we royal, we do what needs done for the splendor that must be arrayed. We researched our designs, are the letters just right? Scratching ink into scroll, working late in the night, till the gasp from the court as it catches the light marks a memory that won't ever fade. We are the fighters, we are the makers, we are in service, preparing the feast. We are the elders, we are the children, we are all a family, for we are the East. We remember the times we each felt so alone, though we lived in a kingdom that we'd never known. Now we found it, embraced it, and made it our own, and we're bound here by so many ties. It's remarkable now to discover that we're each a part of this tapestry, that much is clear. In these moments of joy, we fly back through the years, and the centuries fade from our eyes. We are the fighters, we are the makers, we are in service, preparing the feast. We are the elders, we are the children, we are all a family, for we are the East. We are the fighters, we are the makers, we are in service, preparing the feast. We are the elders, we are the children, we are all a family, for we are the East. We are all family, for we are the East. We are all family, for we are the East. That one, thank you. That one has been recorded, though I am doing a remaster of it, and I'm going to include it on the new album. But we did a collection called Sing for the East a few years back. You can find this song on my YouTube page, by the way, which is in YouTube. If you go to Drake the Bard or search for Drake Orenwood, you will find it. All of my published music is there, and me doing a bunch of stuff like this, some of which sounds better than other. But that one has really, I got to do that as a duet with the queen that I wrote it for, and I think you'll enjoy it. And there's a little bit more sizzle hopefully coming in the remaster of it. So now let me take a split second. All right. Because the challenge is that while I said, the beauty of writing songs is that they're a short form, you may have noticed that doesn't necessarily mean that my songs are short. And that puts me in some time constraints with a set like this. It always does. It means I don't necessarily get to put in as many pieces. And that's okay, because the song takes as long as it takes until it tells the story it's there to tell. This one is a little shorter. This was done as a commission. We were doing a fundraiser, and I offered up a commission for a Drake original, and a lovely woman requested a song for her neurodivergent daughter, to celebrate her. And I said, okay, you do know me and my work then, since I am also bringing up a neurodivergent child, and set a thief to catch a thief. So without further ado, look who's up early, good morning, my love. Yes, come give me an embrace, but please take care for my ribs and my lungs. They'll need to fit back in place. Let us walk the village when some of them stare. I see they don't understand. For your path's your own, it may wind through the air. You find adventures that nobody planned. Shine, child, you are amazing. Each day you fill me with joy and with pride. You're divine, child, brilliant and blazing, lighting the world as my hope and my guide. Fathomless in your design, whether or not you align, still I see what is mine. You leave spots in my eyes as you shine. Some things you learn at a dizzying pace, others will bring you to tears. Your mind is leaping like it's in a race, with no concern for your years. You will grab a notion and never let go. Do even you understand? Oh, I try to shield you, but I've come to know sometimes you don't want a steadying hand. Shine, child, you are amazing. Each day you fill me with joy and with pride. You're divine, child, brilliant and blazing, lighting the world as my hope and my guide. Fathomless in your design, whether or not you align, still I see what is mine. You leave spots in my eyes as you shine. Forging connection was hard for so long. I watched you struggle alone. Maybe I helped love, but you are so strong. You found a way on your own. There's a tribe that's hidden, and you are a part, more than I might understand. Each one's so unique, but your generous heart brings them together and helps them expand. Shine, child, you are amazing. Each day you fill me with joy and with pride. You're divine, child, brilliant and blazing, lighting the world as my hope and my guide. Fathomless in your design, whether or not you align, still I see what is mine. You leave spots in my eyes as you shine. You leave spots in my eyes as you shine. You leave spots in my eyes as you shine. Thank you. That one always takes a little bit out of me. And that too will be on the new album. It too is coming along nicely. So there's time, I'm guessing, for one more right before I go, hopefully?
Yeah, one more would be wonderful.
Perfect. So quick decision. All right. I'm going to go with one that that some of you might have heard, and that you can definitely find, because this was on the Hidden Gold album. And Regan, you're slightly to blame for this, because I got to record this with Heather Dale. It is quite different from the one I opened with, which is interesting because the story this one is based on, which is also a child ballad, comes from the same story husk, because this ballad, which I've rewritten and completely retold, this ballad really has its origins in the Thomas the Rhymer story. The Elf Queen is not quite so cozy, but I'm going to spoil it and say it ends well for all concerned, because this audience, I don't want to keep in too much suspense. And so without further ado, Tamlin of the Elves. One fortnight past came you to Carter Hall, and 2 roses you plucked without care. Surely you learned, if you take what is mine, that your trespass will summon me there. Here you are once again, Janet so bold, who declared that this wood was your land. Are you now bashful? I see you recall how you trembled when I took your hand. For you'd ignored advice. You knew the tales they tell of every maiden's price if she met Tamlin of the elves. Pull you no more, lady, that's not a rose, but an herb that grows deadly and wild. I know the weed, it's procured for the use of a woman to rid her of child. Is that the way of it, Janet, my sweet? Have you come back confessed of your plight? Told your lord father that you're fathered on by an unholy grey elfin knight? I'm not this thing you scorn, though I forget myself. I was of woman born, ere I was Tamlin of the elves. I was a lad in my grandfather's hunt, when a careless from saddle was thrown. Caught by a lady, the queen of the elves, and she stole me away as her own. Years have I spent among Elfland's delights, and the queen's beauty held me in thrall. Oft here on Carter Hall stumbled a maid, and my pleasure I take of them all. But then I looked on you, and something new I felt. 'Tis since that day I rue that I am Tamlin of the elves. Though I returned to their magical realm, it has savoured me not since we met. Dark fairy hearts do not know mortal love, but my own heart won't let me forget. I before this was the queen's favoured knight, but now, Janet, I'm deeply afeard. Fairyland's magic, it comes with a price at the ending of each 7th year. Tonight is Halloween. They pay a tithe to hell. I think tonight the queen will give up Tamlin of the elves. Saved your child's father from fairy you might, but my love, it's a dangerous task. And were it any lass other than you, I would not such a favour dare ask. At Dryburgh Abbey you'll find an old well, and from there at Miles Cross you must hide. Round about midnight you'll hear horse approach, one by one will the elven host ride. Past you the black will speed, let pass the brown as well. Run to the milk-white steed, and pull down Tamlin of the elves. Still now, my dearest, I'm bound to the queen, so I know not what form I will take. I'll be an eagle who tries to pull free, the next moment a venomous snake. Then may she make me a bear in your arms, and I'll bite and I'll claw at you so. Next I'll become a red-hot iron brand, and I'll burn you to make you let go. But if you hold me fast, carry me down the dell, I can be yours at last, and no more Tamlin of the elves. My love, she carried me near half a mile, although every step racked her with pain. Through the hot iron in that holy well, and a naked man took out again. Then did she cover me out of their sight, in her green mantle smelling of sage. Just as we came to the safe abbey doors, did the fairy queen cry out in rage. I'd pluck his eyes away, that my fair land beheld. I want her life as pay who took my Tamlin of the elves. But she had done it, son. Fair Janet broke the spell, and for her husband won your father, Tamlin of the elves. Thank you all. This was such fun.
Friends and audience, Drake Ornwood. Thank you so much, Drake. And as that clock keeps ticking, let's move right over to Avelyn Davi.
All right, so hi everyone again. I'm going to open with one of the songs I mentioned earlier, based on a Tamora Pierce novel. This is the first song I wrote based on a book, and it is responsible for me learning to play ukulele, because when I wrote it, I said, it needs something more. It needs chords. So I went to my friend Colette the Bard, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Give me chords. And so now I write my own chords and everything. But this one was had the chords written by Colette the Bard. So this is The Will of Becca Cooper. When I was just a child on the lower city streets, a henchman hurt my mother, so I followed to his crew. Though the guard would not believe me, to the Lord Provost I flew. I persisted in my tale, gained his trust and I prevailed, and I brought the bold brass gang to their defeat. Do not doubt me for my gender, or think that I am small. My wits are sharp, my arm is strong, my eyes will see it all. Do not think that I will waver, you'll not scare or frighten me. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. At 15, I was ready to start as a guard trainee. I picked the lower city to help those like my family, as we chased after a monster on a children-killing spree. Through my notes and observation, narrowed in on their location, and I caught the shadow snake where they could flee. Do not doubt me for my gender, or think that I am small. My wits are sharp, my arm is strong, my eyes will see it all. Do not think that I will waver, you'll not scare or frighten me. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. As I grew to a guardswoman, things were not as they seemed. With false coin flowing in the streets downriver from Port Kane, I, despite the danger to me, infiltrated their domain. Found the proof of the rogue's plot, chased her down and then we fought, and I won to save the kingdom from their scheme. Do not doubt me for my gender, or think that I am small. My wits are sharp, my arm is strong, my eyes will see it all. Do not think that I will waver, you'll not scare or frighten me. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. When terror shook the kingdom, the prince was taken in the night. My friends and I were summoned to track down the plotters crude. Through conspiracy and magic, vile kidnappers we pursued. We chased them down to their lair, saved the crown from their despair, and ensured the kingdom's future would be bright. Do not doubt me for my gender, or think that I am small. My wits are sharp, my arm is strong, my eyes will see it all. Do not think that I will waver, you'll not scare or frighten me. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. Do not doubt me for my gender, or think that I am small. My wits are sharp, my arm is strong, my eyes will see it all. Do not think that I will waver, you'll not scare or frighten me. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. I am small, but I am mighty, I will forge my destiny. Thank you. I am totally going to minimize this because watching myself play, not so good. Okay, so the next song is one that is the saddest song I'm gonna do, but it's got kind of like a good message at the end, and I promise I will make up for it by singing a funny cat song afterwards. So this song is basically inspired by a single chapter of He Who Fights with Monsters. Tales are told and songs are sung. Stories of heroes start when they are young. Their glory, their valor, but not heroes' price. The story leaves out their sacrifice. Selflessly shielding no matter the cost. They drink from the cup, knowing they will be lost. Heroes are born and heroes are made. They stand up not for the accolade. The strongest of heart and virtue most true. They don't hesitate to stand up for you. But heroes' price, my friend, beware. Your friends standing by an empty chair. Sing songs of heroes lest they be forgot, but remember their lives, not the battles they fought. For a hero is more than their victories and deeds. To serve as a hero, they gave up their dreams, while bravery in battle brought them to their end. When the world gained a hero, we lost a friend. Heroes are born and heroes are made. They stand up not for the accolade. The strongest of heart and virtue most true. They don't hesitate to stand up for you. But heroes' price, my friend, beware. Your friend standing by an empty chair. Friends gather round to bid our farewell. Of the good times our stories will tell. In voices mixed with laughter and tears, the memories endure through all our years. And when we gather, we always take care to raise a glass to the empty chair. Heroes are born and heroes are made. They stand up not for the accolade. The strongest of heart and virtue most true. They don't hesitate to stand up for you. And when we gather, we always take care to raise a glass to the empty chair. Thanks. Okay, I promised a funny one after that because I know that was kind of heavy. So this is inspired by my wonderful, adorable cat, who I love, except for when he does things like this. From across the room I hear the crash of things gone wrong. I looked away for moments, but it didn't take you long. That was my favorite coffee mug, now broken on the floor. When you want to get a kitten, no one warns you what's in store. Oh, my little kitty, get off my counter. Even though you're pretty, you don't belong up there. You've always been a little brat, and in my butt a pain for For once get off the counter when I scream your name in vain. You may think cats are angels, soft and fluffy, calm and sweet, but talk to any owner and they'll cross-eye and cry defeat. For cats will get the zoomies and run wild around the house, and leave dead toys all over like a lizard, bird, or mouse. Oh, my little kitty, get off my counter. Even though you're pretty, you don't belong up there. You've always been a little brat, and in my butt a pain. For once get off the counter when I scream your name in vain. Worst of all, you soon will find that up is always best. From bookshelves to the counter, till they're up they will not rest. For destruction is much better when they watch your favorites fall. From their height upon the counter, gravity works on it all. Oh, my little kitty, get off my counter. Even though you're pretty, you don't belong up there. You've always been a little brat, and in my butt a pain. For once get off the counter when I scream your name in vain. For once get off the counter when I scream your name in vain. For once get off the counter when I scream your name in vain. I'm sure everybody who has a cat understands that song. So, next up is going to be a book inspired by Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I often get inspired by just a single line, so this one is kind of like an anthem, an empowerment anthem based on that. Shadows descend as the day turns to night. I flee to a dungeon I thought was the light. Trapped in these trials, I fight for my life. An unwilling warrior dragged into the strife. The odds are against us, you made this your game. But I'll flip the board and advantage reclaim. You will not break me. Each challenge will forge me like steel in the flame. You came here to conquer, I'll not let you reign. You think you have won, but you will see. You will not break me. All eyes are upon us, but we don't consent. Our lives are not here for your entertainment. From high on your horse, I'm a pawn in your war. But soon you will fear as I grow wings and soar. For I will escape from the ashes of fire, a phoenix arising from my funeral pyre. You will not break me. Each challenge will forge me like steel in the flame. You came here to conquer, I'll not let you reign. You think you have won, but you will see. You will not break me. This battle is more than my life or my death. The fate of my homeland is worth my last breath. We ask not for battle, but watch as we stand. Our will unbroken, not yours to command. Each day I grow stronger, gain power and fame, and plot of the day when you will fear my name. You will not break me. Each challenge will forge me like steel in the flame. You came here to conquer, I'll not let you reign. You think you have won, but you will see. You will not break me. You will not break me. Challenge will forge me like steel in the flame. You came here to conquer, I'll not let you reign. You think you have won, but you will see. You will not break me. You will not break me. So as soon as I heard that phrase, "you will not break me," repeated so many times in these books, just came to me. I had to write a song. So that's that one. Now I'm gonna switch things up because I promised Misty that I would do a harp song. So switching things up, this is going to be a very cozy romance song written in the 13th century in France. This translation is by a woman named Deborah Rochefort, and it's just a really, really lovely song. Here we go. Would you like me now to sing a love song sweet and charming? No peasant wrote the song. Yes, a knight the song has made, resting neath the olive shade, holding his lady all in all. Her camise was of linen, and a cloak of white ermine, a silk Leo she had, stockings of gladiolus, in shoes of mayflowers thus, were her feet neatly clad. Her garland was all of leaves that grow green with spring's reprieve. The clasp was made of gold. Her purse of love I beheld. With flowers it was tasseled, given by love to hold. The mule that she rode thereto was shod with silver horseshoes, a saddle of gold made. Behind her on the crupper were 3 rose bushes by her, planted to give her shade. As she rode through the meadow, some knights met her bowing low, greeting courteously. Fair one, where do you come from? Renowned France I call my home, where I am of high degree. My father's the nightingale, who songs nightly prevail upon the tallest tree. My mother is the mermaid, on far shores are her songs made, upon the salty sea. How well are you born, fair maid, of fine parents were you made, you come of high degree. May it please God our soul's life, that at my dear wedded wife, you may be given to me. Thank you. So I have been playing harp for a lot longer than I have been playing ukulele, and a lot of the music I do is Renaissance and medieval, so I play that a lot more for that. Man, I'm parched. All right, so I will close out with one last song, and this is actually my newest piece that I just finished like a week ago. So this is the premiere. I mentioned earlier I read a lot of lit RPG, Portal Fantasy, and I'm writing a lit RPG Portal Fantasy. So this song is dedicated to all of those wonderful tropes of lit RPG and Portal Fantasy and progression fantasy that we all know and love. Let me hide myself, actually, because I'm going to look at myself and that's going to freak me out. I've been reading lots of books and watching many shows of magic worlds and heroes wielding swords and spells and bows. With all these tales around, I'm sure it's not a fantasy. Thus my hopes and aspirations now are plain for all to see. I hope that when I die, that I'll be isekai'd. Truckun, please come along and hit me. I'll wake up when I'm dead to a whole new world instead. I wanna start my portal fantasy. I'll start out as a level 1 with minor spells at best, and slowly work my way up till I'm better than the rest. I'll face some trials, but mostly I'll succeed in all I do. My plot armor is better than your average Mary Sue. I hope that when I die, that I'll be isekai'd. Truckun, please come along and hit me. I'll wake up when I'm dead to a whole new world instead. I wanna start my portal fantasy. My progression is impeccable, my mastery is great, and everything will go my way as if driven by fate. My experience will grow and level exponentially, and I'll have that overpowered MC energy. I hope that when I die, that I'll be isekai'd. Truckun, please come along and hit me. I'll wake up when I'm dead to a whole new world instead. I wanna start my portal fantasy. I'll leave behind mortality and power up, you'll see, as I somehow grow to godhood in just a year or 3. My story never ending as I conquer worlds anew. Then maybe if you're lucky, I will isekai you too. I hope that when I die, that I'll be isekai'd. Truckun, please come along and hit me. I'll wake up when I'm dead to a whole new world instead. I wanna start my portal fantasy. I hope that when I die, that I'll be isekai'd. Truckun, please come along and hit me. I'll wake up when I'm dead to a whole new world instead. I wanna start my portal fantasy. Please let me start my portal fantasy. I wanna start my portal fantasy. So that's the newest one. Thank you very much. Eventually, sometime hopefully this week, that one will be on YouTube. I'm slowly putting my stuff up there under Avelyn Davi. So yeah, check me out.
Avelyn Davi, everybody, thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. I, as the moderator for this thing, I got to make the schedule. I don't know what I was thinking, putting myself last after all of that talent. But you've heard the best, now you get the rest. Taking off the headphones here. Let me see if I've still got sound. Yeah, all right. Just gonna knock everything over while I do this. So, I think since Avelyn did a song that was originally medieval French, I think I ought to do something similar. But when I think fantasy, I always think taverns. So this is from 1590 or something. So we're really into Renaissance rather than medieval. But it's a drinking song. It's called Bon vin, je ne te puis lasser, which, as far as I can tell, roughly translates to good wine, I cannot let you go. Je t'aime à m'ordonner. Bon vin, je ne te puis lasser. À ne envoyer, je t'aime à m'ordonner. Souvent, souvent m'a fait la soie passer. Je t'aime à m'ordonner. Bon vin, je ne te puis lasser. À ne envoyer, ne soir, ne matinée. Tu es plaisante et l'emboucher, je me tends de la vie. Je prends plaisir à te verser. Un envoyé tout au long de l'année. Bon vent, je ne te puis lasser. Je t'aime à m'ordonner. Bon vent, je ne te puis lasser. Un envoyé. Je t'aime à m'ordonner. Donator. Yeah, thank you. And if there are any mistakes in that, just imagine we were all drunk. So, next up, I want to do an original one. This is sort of historical-ish, a little bit of fantasy going on here. Are we in tune? Sure. This one is called For My Lady. If I were a knight and she my lady, I'd beg for token fair, and she would be kind and not deny me a ribbon from her hair. I'd stride out to the yard, hope clutched to my heart. Let the sword swing, let the arrows fall, I am not afraid. I am no king, I'm not much at all, I am for my lady. If I were a knight in armor shining, her face in sweet concern, she'd give me a kiss before the fighting and bid me swift return. I'd ride out to the war, knowing who I'm fighting for. Let the sword swing, let the arrows fall, I am not afraid. I am no king, I'm not much at all, I am for my lady. But I am just a ragged minstrel, no titles, wealth, or land, and I'll never know how I convinced her to take my wedding band. In a wide and wondrous world, all that I need is her. Let the songs ring, let the rain fall, I am not afraid. I am no king, I'm not much at all, I am for my lady. Let the songs ring, let the rain fall, I am not afraid. I am no king, I'm not much at all, I am for my lady. Thank you. All right, let's see. I think we got time for one or two more. So, as I think I mentioned at the start of this shindig, I am also a writer. I've written a number of novels, and the most recent one, Bard City Blues, is sort of my homage to living the crummy musician's life. But of course, when you write a song about a bard, you have to, or when you write a book about a bard, you have to include songs in the book, obviously, otherwise you're not living up to expectations. So there are a number of songs in the book, but there's also a mistake in the book, which is it's set in a city in winter, and it's constantly talking about how bitterly cold it is. And I realized after I had written it and edited it and everything that the main character does not own a pair of gloves. And if you have ever been cold in your life, but especially if you're a musician and you need to use your hands, you know that gloves are essential. So it was too late to go back and change the book. So I did the only thing I could do, which was I wrote a prequel short story which explains how she lost her gloves. And in that story, there is just a little song that she sings. She's traveling to the city. She has come upon this family who are traveling the other way, and the children are very cold, and she ends up giving her gloves to the kids. But to help them sleep one night, she sings this little song. The sun's a faintly burning ember. Spring's a phantom misremembered. And the darkness of December takes my breath away. Holding on's a hard endeavor. Seasons pass and pass, however. Nothing lasts that lasts forever. Winter cannot stay. Yeah, thank you very much. It's a nice little one. So let's do one more. Gonna switch back to the other guitar. And where to put my capo? There it is. So the other thing that I love about writing and being a music nerd is I make soundtracks for my books. And I always have done this, and I never actually shared one until, again, I wrote this Bard book, and I thought, you know, I ought to share this with people. And so in the back of the book, in like the Kickstarter special edition or whatever, there's a chapter by chapter playlist of songs that go with every chapter of the book. And one of them is this great little Steve Earle song that you may or may not know, but I certainly love it. It's not exactly fantasy. I think it's sort of cozy, but it was a huge inspiration for the book, so I feel like it's going to fit in here just fine. And let me just pull it up so I'm actually prepared. All right. A stroll on the old long walk of a day. I met a little girl and we stopped to talk of a fine soft day. And I asked you, friend, what's a fella to do? Because her hair was black and her eyes were blue. And I knew right then I'd be taking a whirl around the South Hill prom with a Galway girl. Halfway there when the rain came down of the day. She asked me up to her flat downtown on a fine soft day. And I asked you, friend, what's a fella to do? Because her hair was black and her eyes were blue. So I took her hand and I gave her a twirl. Oh, and I lost my heart to a Galway girl. I was all alone with a broken heart and a ticket home. And I ask you now, tell me what would you do if her hair was black and her eyes were blue? 'Cause I traveled around, I've been all over this world. Boys, I ain't never heard nothing like a Galway girl. Folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight or this afternoon or whatever the heck time zone you're in. It's night for me.